First, I just want to say thank you so much for being here today and for having me. It's my first time in Saudi Arabia, and my experience has been phenomenal. And everyone has welcomed me with such open arms, and it's just been a beautiful experience for me. So really, thank you so much. So today I'm here to talk to you about fostering the next generation of women in cybersecurity. So let's get into it. So today I want to talk to you about, going to cover off on statistics, why change is necessary, go over some short-term strategies, and then also some long-term strategies. So the short-term strategies are things that can be implemented easily. The long-term strategies, as you can guess, take a little bit longer to be implemented. So if we start with the statistics we know, and we've all seen them, but let's just go through them just as a nice little refresher. So if you have a look at the global cost of cybercrime annually, if we go back to 2015, it was at $3 trillion. 2021, $6 trillion, and by 2025, it's projected to be at $10.5 trillion. Now, if you compare that to the number of unfilled jobs there are globally within cybersecurity, again, going back, 2014 was at 1 million. 2018 was nearing 2 million. And then this year it was projected to be at 3.5 million. And that's globally the amount of unfilled jobs there are within cybersecurity. But what I would like for you to do is just hang on to these figures in your head as we move forward to the next slides, and I'll come back to these in a moment. So having a look at the female representation globally, so women represent roughly about 50% of the global population, 40% of the global workforce, and then here in the Middle East, women represent 35% of the workforce. Now, when you compare that to the amount of women in cybersecurity globally within specific regions, so in the US, it's 14%, Europe 7%, Africa 9%, and Australia is at 25%. And the latest study, which is from a couple of years ago, and I think we need to update it, but it still is 5%. And based on my experience at the conference here, I've seen so many women, and I really think we need to challenge this statistic, but this is the latest statistic that we do have that I have to go off of. But again, we need to update it because there have been so many women at this conference. I am completely overwhelmed, and I'm just so excited to see the amount of involvement of women at all levels, and so many young women as well starting their career and their journey within cybersecurity. So again, just taking a global perspective, because I really like to get a really good bird's eye view of everything. So back in 2015, women's representation in cybersecurity was 11%. In 2020, it was at 20%. And this year, the latest statistic is at 24%. So it is on the rise. And there are so many incredible initiatives in place. And I've met so many women here who are doing so many passionate things and at increasing the female representation at cybersecurity. But as we are women in cybersecurity Middle East, I would like to tell you a little bit about us, our achievements, and what we've been doing. So Women in Cybersecurity Middle East was formed in March 2018 by 9 women, including myself, when we all met at a conference in Dubai. And it was the most amazing experience of my life when I just moved to Dubai from Australia. And it was incredible. We started out, I'll show you a quick timeline. So we started out as a WhatsApp group. Now, fast forward to where we are today, it's pretty incredible. But we started out as a WhatsApp group, went on to LinkedIn, and what we noticed is that we had to do everything online. So we were completely Zoom from day one. And the reason for that is we wanted to connect with so many women across the region, and that was the best way forward for us. And obviously through the pandemic, that kept out well for us and kept us going. This time last year, we had our first virtual conference. And just a few things from that, we had 110 applicants and 19 award winners. And the CTF had over 600 registrants that saw 3 winning teams. Now we are sitting at over 1,300 women members across the region. So what's next for us? So first, this is just getting bigger and better. So this time, our annual conference is virtual yesterday, and then today, live here in Riyadh, and live streamed as well for everyone who is joining us across the globe. Next year, we are very excited to be launching our mentoring programs and our outreach programs as well. So we wanted to get a little bit of an insight into our members, so we did our own study. So first, our members, the majority obviously come here from the region, but we also do have women who come from globally as well. So Australia, New Zealand, America, India, and the Netherlands, just to name a few. So again, the women who completed this study, and I'll share some statistics shortly, they were from the following countries. So Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Oman, Kuwait, UAE, and then a small percentage from India as well. And we asked them how many years have they been working in cybersecurity. Now, as you can see, the majority of the respondents were between the 1 to 6 years. So we asked these women, what is your current position and what is your current industry? So just to understand where these women come from and their dynamics and their background. So again, the majority were cybersecurity consultants, but then you also had some CISOs, some architects and so forth. And the industry, banking and finance, was quite huge, as was the consulting, telecommunications, government, and vendor management. So we asked these women, how many other women are in your teams? And it was quite surprising to see, because these figures do not align with the 5% representation that we see. And again, that is across the region of the Middle East. But again, it doesn't align. And so it was really fascinating to see these statistics. And we asked these women, what are the measures in place by your current employer to keep you? And career growth opportunities, positive company culture, and flexible working hours were the top, along with time away to complete extra studies, great leadership, and competitive salary. But career growth opportunities was the larger. Now, we also asked these women, why would you make a move? Meaning, what are the reasons that would make you jump ship and leave from one organization to another? And it's no surprise that better learning environment surpassed all. Better leadership, better financial packages, and flexibility followed. Then we also ask these women, how did you get into cybersecurity? And I'm always super fascinated with this, just because previously you ask anyone, how did you get into cybersecurity? They say, I fell into it, I transferred from another technology field. Now, within our study, the women, 50% transitioned from another technology field, 40% began their career in cybersecurity, and 10% transitioned from another field completely. Now, to see that 40% began their career in cybersecurity is absolutely fantastic. I mean, if you come back like 10, 15 years ago, and compare the amount of education and the amount of degrees that there are now versus back then within cybersecurity, it's exploded dramatically. So you need to ask the question, why should we focus on getting more women in cybersecurity? And the first point that's really important to make is that we're not focusing on diversity for the sake of diversity. You still need to get the right people in the right teams producing the right outcomes. So if you do have these diversity measures in place, you really need to make sure hiring managers, recruitment teams, and your HR, they're all talking together and they're all producing the right outcomes. Because having these measures in place and not producing the right outcomes only does more harm than good. So again, why should we focus? So obviously studies show that there are proven benefits to having diverse teams. So there's increased team productivity, team performance, overall team satisfaction, and of course, increased profitability average. then again, really, why should we focus on increasing women in cybersecurity? So cyber attacks come in various forms. You need diverse knowledge in order to be prepared. So getting our workforce dynamics right is absolutely crucial to ensuring that we are better prepared for the range of scenarios for when things go wrong. As everyone says, it's when, not if. So what does that mean? We need diverse perspectives, diverse experiences, diverse skills, and diverse approaches. So having a look at some short-term strategies, meaning what can you do today? What changes can you implement today to make, to have a benefit and make a positive experience? So the really easiest thing is your job advertisements and how you approach them. So just a little fact, women can be a little bit more hesitant to apply for a position if they don't match 100% of the criteria, while men can see or tend to consider the unticked boxes as scope for growth. So sometimes we're wired a little bit differently, so it's really important to take that into consideration. Now, keeping that in mind, how do you apply that? So just a quick do's and don'ts. So one, avoiding the long shopping lists with unrealistic boxes of expectations. What you need to do is first use gender-balanced language, as in the successful candidate will, and so forth. Focus on the expected outcomes, not the shopping list, not ticking all of these boxes, because what your idea of the successful candidate is versus the true successful candidate might be two different things. So when you're posting your job advertisements, really focus on the outcome. Also focusing on your team, company, and culture, and the expected attitude and behavior of the successful candidate, meaning how are they going to fit into your teams? What is the current company culture, and who are you looking for to only enhance your culture? And my favorite is transferable skills. So did you know that it actually takes less effort to teach technical skills than it does soft skills? So taking that into consideration, so some invaluable soft skills for cybersecurity are communication, curiosity, passion, collaboration, adaptability, learnability. Adaptability and learnability are my absolute favorites. And also critical thinking. Now, again, I really encourage you, when you're focusing on your job advertisements and you're writing them, to really look at the bigger picture and break down the criteria of what makes a candidate successful in that role. Focus on what can be learned and what can't. Also, it's always a good idea to have a look at your internal cyber champions. So we're all doing all these awareness campaigns. Why not have a look at your internal cyber champions and those who are interested in the field and who are looking to get a foot in and transfer their skills and their knowledge into cybersecurity? And on that note, we have, within Women in Cybersecurity Middle East, we have so many women who come up to us, and they are in from banking and finance to the healthcare nurses who are coming up to us saying, how do I transfer my skills to come into cybersecurity, and what can I do, and how do I get my foot in the door? Because the shopping list I don't match, but I have all this other knowledge. So how do I get my foot in the door here? So you have women in your teams. What are some short-term strategies that you can do to keep them? So culture and behavior. So in meetings, women can be less likely to speak up. So it's really important that you support, encourage, and empower them, and let them know that they're valued and that they need to be heard. So call them out in meetings and say, hi, what do you think? And really help them and empower them to have their voice and to speak up. Also, have a look at internal mentorship and coaching programs. Mentorship is absolutely invaluable. And it's really important as a female to have both male and female mentors as well, getting diverse perspectives on how you can grow and better your career and be a better person. And you might have to look at better leadership. And when I say that, what I mean is make sure you have the right leadership in place that is supporting the teams and encouraging them and empowering them. Technical glitch, hang tight. No. Uh-oh. In that case, it's always great when it's live, hey? How are we going back there? There we go. I got it from here. We good? Okay, back on topic. And then, again, back on the retention strategies within the short term. Your basic management strategies, which we all know in every leadership course, they always harp on about these. So again, recognizing that each of your individual employees have different motivators for being loyal. And some of those for women are your flexible working hours, career development opportunities, and then the education development and time away to complete certifications. Now, within flexible working opportunities, the positive and one of the positives that we can take away from COVID is that it really did help working mothers and women who needed that flexibility and who didn't get it before because their time was measured as in when they're in the office as opposed to on an outcome basis and the outputs of the work that they're putting in. So within, particularly a story that I like to share is within Australia, so the job sharing opportunities. Within the banks, they're doing this with senior women sharing the jobs. So it's, again, they're both working part-time, two people working the same job part-time, but sharing the job load. And it's working out fantastically, and it's a really positive success story. So now moving into the long-term attraction strategies, and again, these are ones that might take a little bit more time to see results. So the first one is talk about it. Keep the conversations about cybersecurity going. Keep talking about it within your home, within your communities, at your children's schools. Keep the conversation going. And continue to support female role models. The more female role models that we have on stage, the more that our young generation and even women who are looking to transfer into cybersecurity have someone to look up to, and they can recognize and identify with themselves on what is possible within cybersecurity. So outreach programs through to primary, through to secondary, through to universities, and within the communities. There is so much work here to be done within outreach programs. And most importantly, demystifying cybersecurity and the jobs within. So thank you to Hollywood. When everyone who is not within cybersecurity, what they think of is, if you ask them about a position within cybersecurity, they will most likely think of someone who is in a hoodie, in a dark room with multiple screens around them, coding and at a computer. But that's not the case at all. And the reason for this is there are so many positions within cybersecurity, both technical and non-technical, but the general public is not made aware of this, and our children as well. So again, demystifying cybersecurity, really articulating what is cybersecurity. Internships, absolutely invaluable. And again, policies, and I touched on that before about if you have those, what can be labeled as positive discrimination policies where you have those targets. But again, I stress to you, if you have them, please make sure that they are being used effectively and appropriately, because again, not doing so only does more harm than good. And have a look at recruitment strategies. So most of the time, there is so much that is short-term notice, and we're all rushing to find really good staff. But you can have a workforce plan in place, and you can work with your recruitment vendors, your partners, and really at least try to plan for the best way possible at having a workforce plan in place, because then this will give you time to find those hidden talents that you wouldn't have known if you had just posted a job advertisement and then gone through the first 5 applicants and selected that way. So you really, if you have a workforce plan in place, then it gives you a moment to really find the talent. So, and last but not least is on the retention strategies for the long term. So a big one is your financial packages. And the reason I say that is it is a big motivator as well. And in certain countries, is a gender pay gap as well. So it is always good to have a review and make sure that those are in line. Paid maternity and paternity leave, always very important. And then subsidized childcare, school fees, and summer camps. And the reason those are important is because we're all working and we all have full-time jobs. But if you have children as well, school is, as a parent, it feels like school is never in session and they're always on holidays. So really having that support from your work while you're going through those times is very, very helpful. And return to work programs. And this is really important for the women who have come off of maternity leave or who have taken some time out. So do you have programs in place to help them back into the workforce, or to coach them, or offer other opportunities for them, or whatever it may be? There are so many possibilities here with the return to work programs for women who have taken that time out. And paid study leave, always a big one. Time out for volunteer work, and that goes hand in hand with the outreach programs. So giving your staff time to actually give back to the community, speak about cybersecurity, educate the community, that's equally important. And again, I always come back to leadership and making sure that your leadership team is the right fit and that they are there to support and empower and encourage your staff and make sure that they are valued and that they are heard. Thank you.